Adapted from archaic translation by H. T. Francis and R. A. Neal. Jataka number 424. Āditta-Jātaka. Whatever a man can save, etc. The master told this tale while living in Jetavana monastery, concerning an incomparable gift. The incomparable gift must be described in full from the commentary on the Mahagovinda Sutta. On the day after that on which it had been given, they were talking of it in the Hall of Truth. Sirs, the Kosala king after examination found the proper field of merit, and gave the great gift to the assembly with Buddha at its head. The master came and was told what the subject of their talk was as they sat together. He said, Brethren, it is not strange that the king after examination has undertaken great gifts to the supreme field of merit. Wise men of old also after examination gave such gifts, and so he told a tale of old. Once upon a time a king named Bharata reigned at Raruva in the kingdom of Sovara. He practiced the 10 royal virtues. Won the people by the 4 elements of popularity, stood to the people like father and mother and gave great gifts to the poor, the pilgrims, the beggars, the suitors and the like. His chief queen Samadavahiya was wise and full of knowledge. One day he looked round his alms hall and thought, my alms are devoured by worthless greedy people. I don't like this. I should like to give alms to the virtuous Pakskabuddhas who deserve the best of gifts. They live in the Himalaya region. Who will bring them here on my invitation and whom shall I send on this work? He spoke to the queen, who said, O king, be not concerned. Sending flowers by the force of our giving suitable things. And of our virtue and truthfulness, we will invite the Pakskabuddhas, and when they come we will give them gifts with all things necessary. The king agreed. He made proclamation by drum that all the townspeople should undertake to keep the rules. He himself with his household undertook all the duties for the holy days and gave great gifts in charity. He had a gold box brought, full of jasmine flowers, came down from his palace and stood in the royal courtyard. There prostrating himself on the ground with the 5 contacts, he saluted towards the eastern quarter and threw 7 handfuls of flowers, with the words, I salute the saints in the eastern quarter. If there is any merit in us, show compassion on us and receive our alms. As there are no Pakskabuddhas in the eastern quarter, they did not come next day. On the 2nd day he paid respects to the south quarter. But none came from there. On the 3rd day he paid respects to the west quarter, but none came. On the 4th day he paid respects to the north quarter. And after paying respects he threw 7 handfuls of flowers with the words, May the Pakskabuddhas who live in the north district of Himalaya receive our alms. The flowers went and fell on 500 Pakskabuddhas in the Nandamula cave. With insight they understood that the king had invited them. So they called 7 of their number and said, Sirs, the king invites you. Show him favor. These Pakskabuddhas came through the air and lighted at the king's gate. Seeing them the king saluted them with delight, made them come up into the palace, explained them great honor and gave them gifts. After the meal he asked them for next day and so on until the 5th day, feeding them for 6 days. On the 7th day he made ready a gift with all the necessities. Arranged beds and chairs inlaid with gold, and set before the 7 Pakskabuddhas sets of 3 robes and all other things used by holy men. The king and queen formally offered these things to them after their meal, and stood in respectful salutation. To express their thanks the elder of the assembly spoke 2 stanzas. Whatever a man can save from flames that burn his living down, not what is left to be consumed, will still remain his own. The world's on fire, decay, and death are there the flame to feed. Save what you can by charity, a donation is a saving indeed. Thus expressing thanks the elder advised the king to be diligent in virtue. Then light flew up in the air, straight through the peaked roof of the palace and lighted in the Nandamula cave. Along with him all the necessities that had been given him flew up and lighted in the cave. And the bodies of the king and queen became full of joy. After his departure, the other 6 also expressed thanks in a stanza each. he who gives to righteous men, strong in holy energy, crosses Yama's flood, and then gains a living in the sky. Like to war is charity. Lots may flee before a few. Give a little piously. Bliss hereafter is your due. Wise givers please the Lord. Worthily they spend their toil. Rich the fruit their gifts afford. Like a seed in fertile soil. They who never rudely speak. Wrong to living things renounce. Men may call them timid, weak. For it is fear that keeps them pure. Lower duties win for man, reborn on earth, a princely fate. Middle duties win them heaven, highest win the purest state. Charity is blessed indeed. Yet the righteous path gains higher wage. Ages old and late attest. Thus the wise have reached their rest. So they also went with the necessities given them. The seventh Buddha in his thanks praised the eternal nirvana to the king, and advising him carefully went to his dwelling as has been said. The king and queen gave gifts all their lives and passed fully through the path to heaven. After the lesson, the master said, so wise ones of old gave gifts with discrimination, and identified the birth. At that time the Buddha reached nirvana, Samadavahiya was the mother of Rahul, and the king Bharata was myself. Source. Adapted from archaic translation by H. T. Francis and R. A. Neil. Jataka number 425. Aṭṭhāna-Jātaka. Make Ganges calm, etc. The master told this tale while living in Jetavana monastery, concerning a backsliding brother. The master asked him, is the story true, brother, that you are backsliding? Yes, Lord. What is the cause? The power of desire. Brother, womankind are ungrateful, treacherous, untrustworthy. Of old wise men could not satisfy a woman, even by giving her 1,000 pieces a day. And one day when she did not get the 1,000 pieces she had them taken by the neck and was thrown out. So ungrateful are womankind. Do not fall into the power of desire for such a cause, and so he told an old tale. Once upon a time when Brahmadatta was reigning in Benares. His son, young Brahmadatta and young Mahadana, son of a rich merchant of Benares, were comrades and playfellows, and were educated in the same teacher's house. The prince became king at his father's death, and the merchant's son dwelling near him. There was in Benares a certain royal dancer and pleasure girl, beautiful and prosperous. The merchant's son gave her 1,000 pieces daily, and took pleasure with her constantly. At his father's death he succeeded to the rich merchant's position, and did not forsake her, still giving her 1,000 pieces daily. 3 times a day he went to wait upon the king. One day he went to wait upon him in the evening. As he was talking with the king, the sun set, and it became dark. As he left the palace, he thought, there is no time to go home and come back again. I will go straight to the pleasure girl's house. So he dismissed his attendants, and entered her house alone. When she saw him, she asked if he had brought the 1,000 pieces. Dear, I was very late today. So I sent away my attendants without going home, and have come alone. But tomorrow I will give you 2,000 pieces. She thought, if I admit him today, he will come empty-handed on other days, and so my wealth will be lost. I won't admit him this time. So she said, Sir, I am but a royal dancer and pleasure girl. I do not give my favors without 1,000 pieces. You must bring the sum. Dear, I will bring twice the sum tomorrow, and so he begged her again and again. The royal dancer and pleasure girl gave orders to her maids, don't let that man stand there and look at me. Take him by the neck, and threw him out, and then shut the door. They did so. He thought, I have spent on her 80 crores of money. Yet on the one day when I come empty-handed, she has me seized by the neck and was thrown out. Oh, womankind are wicked, shameless, ungrateful, treacherous. And so he thought and thought on the bad qualities of womankind, till he felt dislike and disgust, and became discontented with a layman's life. Why should I lead a layman's life? I will go this day and become an ascetic, he thought. So without going back to his house or seeing the king again, he left the city and entered the forest. He made a hermitage on the Ganges bank, and there made his dwelling as an ascetic, reaching the perfection of meditation, and living on wild roots and fruits. The king missed his friend and asked for him. The royal dancer and pleasure girl's conduct had become known throughout the city. So they told the king of the matter, adding, "O king, they say that your friend through shame did not go home, but has become an ascetic in the forest." The king summoned the royal dancer and pleasure girl, and asked if the story were true about her treatment of his friend. She confessed. "Wicked, nasty woman, go quickly to where my friend is and fetch him. If you fail, your life is gone." She was afraid at the king's words. She mounted a chariot and drove out of the city with a great group of attendants. She searched for his dwelling and hearing of it by report, went there and saluted and prayed, "Sir, bear with the evil I did in my blindness and wrongdoing. I will never do so again." "Very well, I forgive you. I am not angry with you. If you forgive me, mount the chariot with me. We will drive to the city, and as soon as we enter it I will give you all the money in my house." When he heard her, he replied, "Lady, I cannot go with you now. But when something that cannot happen in this world will happen, then perhaps I may go." And so he spoke the first stanza. Dash. Make Ganges calm like lotus-tank, cuckoos pearl white to see. Make apples bear the palm tree's fruit. Perhaps it then might be. But she said again, "Come. I am going." He answered, "I will go." When? At such and such a time, he said and spoke the remaining stanzas. Dash. When woven out of tortoise hair a triple cloth you see. For winter wear against the cold, perhaps it then may be. When of mosquitoes' teeth you build a tower so skillfully, that will not shake or stagger soon, perhaps it then may be. When out of horns of hair you make a ladder skillfully, stairs that will climb the height of heaven, perhaps it then may be. When mice to mount those ladder stairs and eat the moon agree, and bring down rahu from the sky, the thing perhaps may be. When swarms of flies devour strong drink in pitchers full and free, and house themselves in burning coals, the thing perhaps may be. When asses get them ripe red lips and faces fair to see, and show their skill in song and dance, the thing perhaps may be. When crows and owls shall meet to talk secretly, and attract each other, lover-like, the thing perhaps may be. When sunshades, made of tender leaves from off the forest tree, are strong against the rushing rain, the thing perhaps may be. When sparrows take Himalaya in all its majesty, and bear it in their little beaks, the thing perhaps may be. And when a boy can carry light, with all its bravery, a ship full rigged for distant seas, the thing perhaps may be. So the great being spoke these 11 stanzas to fix impossible conditions. The royal dancer and pleasure girl, hearing him, won his forgiveness and went back to Benares. She told the matter to the king, and begged for her life, which was granted. After the lesson, the master said, "So, brethren, womankind are ungrateful and treacherous." Then he explained the truths, and identified the birth. After the truths, the backsliding brother was established in the fruition of the first path. At that time the king was Ananda, the ascetic was myself.